January the 14th, 1955, the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas. And Frank Sinatra was standing very still in dressing room 7 with a cigarette burned to the filter, and 2 hours until showtime. Gregory Peck had come backstage the way close friends do before a big night, and had walked into something else entirely. The stillness, the jaw, the eyes fixed on the middle distance and not blinking. Gregory set his glass down. He had learned long before that you let a man find the bottom of his anger before you speak into it. Wait. Because what happened in the next 90 minutes in that desert hotel would become one of the stories Frank Sinatra never told publicly, and Gregory Peck never needed. To the kind of story that only matters if you understand what it cost and what it saved. Sammy Davis Jr. had driven from Los Angeles to watch his friend open the engagement, and the front desk had told him there were no rooms available. This was Las Vegas in 1955. Every person in that city understood what that sentence meant. There were always rooms, just not for Sammy Davis. Sinatra had found out 30 minutes ago and had not moved. His voice, when he finally spoke, was so flat and quiet, Gregory leaned forward to catch it. He had made an agreement before signing anything. They had shaken his hand. Gregory watched him say it and felt the specific weight of another man's dignity held under pressure, and understood this was not a moment for steadying. It was a moment for standing beside. Have you ever watched someone contain something enormous and choose against everything? Gregory put his hands in his jacket pockets and said quietly, "Who do we talk to? Not whether, not if." Sinatra looked at him, and something in his face organized. Hotel manager Arthur Holt arrived at the corridor to find both men standing side by side under fluorescent lights, and the first thing he noticed was that neither looked angry. That was somehow worse. Gregory's voice was measured and patient. He knew calm was a more dangerous instrument than volume. He said there had been no confusion. He asked Holt to explain why a guest had been turned away. He had asked the bellman on the way in 39 of 62 rooms occupied. The silence after that was the kind that requires a man to hear himself. Holt began to say something about policy. Gregory said, "Frank, how many nights are you contracted here?" Sinatra said, 8. Gregory said, "If that policy holds tomorrow morning, Mr. Sinatra will not perform tomorrow night, and I will call every journalist I know in this city and explain why." He paused. He knew a great many journalists. What do you do when 2 men are standing in front of the machinery you have been running quietly, refusing to pretend it is not running? Holt left and came back 8 minutes later with a room key, looking at the middle distance the way a man speaks when he cannot meet the eyes of the people he is speaking to. Sinatra thanked him without warmth. Gregory said nothing. In the corridor after, Sinatra lit a cigarette and said Gregory didn't have to come back here tonight. Gregory said he'd been in the building. "Come on, you've got a show." Sammy Davis got his room. He got a front seat that night, and when Sinatra introduced him, the audience that had paid $25 a ticket applauded a man who 4 hours earlier had been turned away at the same door. Do you remember watching one act of principle change the temperature of a room? The Sands would not be fully desegregated until 1960, but the line drawn in that corridor did not move. Gregory drove back to Los Angeles and did not tell the story. It was not his to tell. What he carried was something he had not expected. Not Sinatra's rage, which he had anticipated, but the moment before the decision, when a man known for volatility had gone entirely still and organized everything into something precise, and had simply needed someone to step in beside him. 43 years later, Gregory Peck stood at a podium in Cathedral City and said that Frank Sinatra had made all of them feel good about themselves. He said it simply because that was the only way he knew to say anything true. This is what Hollywood used to mean, not just a name on a marquee, but a name that stood for something in a corridor where someone had just been turned away. If you believe that using your power to open a door for someone else is its own kind of courage, this channel is for you. Share this story with someone who remembers when principle was not negotiable. Subscribe to keep this era alive. And tell us in the comments, when did you see someone stand beside another person in a moment that cost them? Every memory matters. Every voice deserves to be heard.